welcome. Come on in.
How are you doing?
Hello.
Oh, it's great.
The podcast begins immediately.
I love this. I love being captured in medias res. That's amazing.
We gotta get a Costa fit.
Yeah, you gotta. Here we go.
Fit check. Hang on.
Yeah.
I think you're the second consecutive guest who's turned up with a Costa.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you now, right? I don't support Costa, I'll tell you this, but what I do support is getting in the meal deal from Co-op.
Yes.
It's just so cheap. I feel like I must be eating away at the bottom line.
Okay,
you know?
Yeah, you're fucking with the Co-op.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, sometimes I'll also do something that I think suggests probably some kind of neurodivergence, but I'll put in my pastry as a more expensive pastry. It's still in the meal deal because I just want them to know how much I've fucked them, you know?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so you actually you fucked them less than they think you have.
yeah. Actually, you're right. You
got a basic
croissant. Between a bit of stock taking, they go, hang on.
The guy who's in charge of like cashing out the pastry desk.
Yeah.
It's going to be like there's a discrepancy here with the cinnamon whirls.
Yeah. Lads, somebody's
got
skimming
one too
stuff
many.
off the top. Yeah, something happening.
Skimming pastry off the top. Someone's getting sacked from the Co-op.
Yeah. There's one one guy with just crumbs all down his front, and he's like, "Guys, it's not me. This is psoriasis. It's not me, okay?"
I bring mine in.
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh, lovely.
Welcome.
I love your shirt.
Thank you.
Very cool.
This is an epic jacket.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, it really needs a dry clean after the festive season.
You're bringing a lot of.
I like the loafers.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't Milo very stylish?
Yeah, very stylish.
You gotta do that thing with your hands. You know, they all do this. They all.
Oh, the
True.
fuck boy.
Yeah.
It's fuckboy verging on Illuminati.
Yeah. They're about to pray. What to do, you know?
We're about to pray for these women.
Yeah. They'll need it.
So is Unfold a gay party as well, or is that just for everyone?
I mean, it's for everyone, but it is pretty gay.
Okay.
I mean, they let this guy in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's radiating heterosexuality. Look at him go.
You're the only person I know who thinks that.
Really?
Is this one of those things where Milo has like skewed ideas of heterosexuality? It's like, well, you could probably beat me in a fight, so you must be.
So you must be straight.
I can't really imagine Riley in a fight.
I've never been in a fight.
Really?
No.
Never.
You can tell.
Yeah.
This is deep lore of the podcast, but Riley punched a man once, but upon his request.
And
Really?
we were in a lift going to a party, and then we were
Hell
like,
in a
hey,
cell.
neither of us have never been in a fight. So
And
I
he
was
said,
like,
he said, punch me.
yeah, he said, why don't we just try it now?
Oh.
And then we did, and then the lift opened, and I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I've only ever heard that story told in those kind of things of a guy asking another guy to kiss him for the first time. So I've never. So it's very interesting.
Oh,
I
God,
usually
that's
hear
so
that.
Sweet.
Yeah, I usually hear that from like hetero guys of being like, I don't know if I'm actually like I've never tried kissing a guy. I only kissed for the first time. But now to know that gay people go will be a fight for the first time. It's
Now you know what real blokes are up to.
This is
Yeah, I've had a physical experience with another man.
I have. Yeah.
One of my friends from school actually was telling me only a few years ago, so it happened ages ago, and he was and he's married now. He's got 2 kids. He's straight.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. But he was telling me a story that was leading up to what I thought was going to be "So we kissed" because he said I didn't think I was gay, but I thought I might be bisexual, and I kind of told this gay guy that I was thinking that I might be bisexual or whatever, and then he was telling me this, and I was thinking it was going to lead to so we had a kiss and whatever, and then he went. So he said, did I want to give him a blowjob? And I did, and really hated it. I'm not gay. And I was like, you went straight to blowjob.
That's how you know.
dedication. Yeah.
That's how you know.
That's
Also giving.
yeah.
The thing about men, they're so direct.
Yeah. You're like, hey, I'll give it a go.
What a salesman that guy must have been. What a pitch. Do you want to give me a blowjob? To
blowjob?
he's
To
not
see if
even
you're
gay.
To be fair, though, I mean, receiving, if you were on the other end, then that's not really, like, that could be anyone.
Yeah, exactly. But
Right?
but even then I thought
yeah.
maybe he received a blowjob from a man and then thought, didn't mind that. Maybe, explore it a bit more. But
Oh,
to
you're
go
thinking it
straight
should be-
to give a blowjob to see if
Yeah.
I'm gay. But I mean, he literally
It is
isn't.
kind of the litmus test, I guess. You could still not be certain after receiving a blowjob, maybe.
True, yeah.
Whereas after giving one, I think you know. Either
Yeah,
way.
you do.
And he does know, and he was like, really, really not gay. And I was like, really? And he went,
Yeah.
genuinely, that really wrapped it up for me.
That soured the whole experience for me. Up until then, I was like,
I mean, it's
well,
nice to know, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitive now for him, I guess. You know?
He got like apples stored by a gay guy. You know, when you walk out of the Apple store and you're like, why did I buy the fucking apple care? I'm never gonna. And then he's like, why did I suck that guy off? It was just so convincing.
Yeah.
I really felt like I needed to.
Yeah. I was young, you know, giving a blowjob felt like the best way to find out. And, you know, you don't get that anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
people are
no.
too tentative.
Mm.
Go straight in.
People know now because it's in the culture and stuff. They'll have a good idea of it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah. No, I don't think I'm
Yeah,
gay.
but, you know, 20 years ago.
Back then, you needed to try.
Exactly.
Give it a go.
You need to rustle a newspaper in a really particular way in Hampstead.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And suddenly you're gay.
complicated.
There you go.
A lot of signalling to learn in those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, didn't there used to be like a gay language?
What, Polari?
Yeah.
There's still some.
Well, like a spoken language.
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess?
It's
Okay.
like a sort of. It's like a Creole of various like cants. I think some like Romani words are in
yeah.
there. There are still some words from Polari that we use in like English,
Okay.
like zhuzh. Or like
Yes,
mussing
yeah,
up here.
yeah.
That's a Polari word.
God, the mums do owe so much.
They do,
really
yeah.
do.
They love the word zhuzh.
You're so right. Do you know what it is? It's that moms of every generation, they adopt the gay culture of 2 generations beforehand. That's
You
what-
are so right.
That's what happens.
That's why my nan was always in public toilet.
yeah. It wasn't her weak
We've always
pelvic
said
floor.
that. It goes gay, hun, mum. Generationally.
Nah, also a
That's
Polari word.
Nah. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Wow. The effect that this language has had on Essex.
Yeah.
That I didn't even know.
Yeah. Is NAF
incredible.
is NAF an acronym or is it a
No,
No.
It's just
just
it's
It's
just
just
a word.
NAF.
Just means what it means.
It means what it means.
God, that's.
yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well-
it's like a Wikipedia like rabbit hole I went down before. I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
It's
Okay,
yeah, it's
that's-
quite fun that sort of during like the peak of the Cold War, like in the 60s, like gay people were behaving like spies.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
you're on park benches rustling newspapers.
yeah.
You've got like a complex like visual
Yeah.
signaling. You're like,
Oh, yeah.
like everything's being done in code.
There must have been a few incidents of somebody coming back to like MI5 or MI6 or whatever and being like, I'll tell you this much for the Russians. They like a blowjob.
Oh, I got something out of it. More.
yeah. Oh, yes.
I think also there was a great deal of crossover for sort of MI5, MI6, and newspaper rustling. Not
Yeah.
just the
Really?
specific activity of newspaper rustling, but I think there was a lot of a lot of them were hanging out in Hampstead
Oh, yeah, yeah.
at that time.
yeah.
Do you know what?
I
Say what
like
you,
that as a euphemism. Hanging
Yeah,
out in
yeah, hanging out in
Hampstead.
Hampstead.
but do you know what? Say what you want about, you know, obviously LGBTQ culture is amazing now and it's so out in the open, but something horny about it being that secret back in
Mm.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
You know, like now it must be like, oh yes, it's all fine, nobody cares. And that's good.
Who was it who said it was like one of the really famous kind of like mid-century gay authors said that the legalization of homosexuality was the worst thing that happened because it made married men less likely to have sex with you.
Oh.
It was like it was
Yeah.
enforcedly secret. So they were like, well, wife's not going to find out.
Mhm.
Yeah, of course.
No one
Was
wants to
that-
go to prison.
Yeah.
Was that Hollinghurst?
It may have been. I'm confessing my ignorance. I can't remember who it was,
Yeah.
but it was
I would have bet him or W.H. Auden.
Mm.
But I don't know if I'm getting the timeline right there.
I think Auden's a bit older. Is he?
Maybe.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
Hollinghurst is sort of like late mid 20th century.
I wanted to go and see his play Line of Beauty recently, but I couldn't get in.
Good book.
Couldn't
I've not
get
read
in.
it.
Not
Couldn't
in
get in.
those
Couldn't get in.
shoes.
She was too
Yeah.
drunk.
You've got to speak Polari.
Yeah.
Heute
Going in barefoot.
I've only had 2 plays this morning. Get me in here.
You can fit another one in. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. New Year's Day, there's a 24-hour showing of Line of Beauty.
Yeah. The dark room at the Line of Beauty
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah, you don't want to go there.
Yeah. Well, actually, what happens is you start at like midnight on New Year's Day, New Year's Eve at the Mousetrap, and then that runs until like 2 p.m. and then you switch over to Line of Beauty until
It's a play crawl.
until 2 p.m. the next day or so, and then you just got to go to bed.
You have to.
You gotta go to bed.
Just an audiobook.
Getting searched and there's like a book of poetry in your back pocket, and you're like going, "Oh, come on, mate, everyone's doing it."
What do we have here then?
It's like what you have to do is you have to sneak in like a sort of single piece of note paper and put it in your sock. With poetry on it.
I'm gooching this poem. I was just an haiku, mate. Come on. That's barely even illegal.
I forgot I even had that haiku in there. I actually didn't mean to bring it. I don't care. Throw it away, guys.
In Japan, it's legal.
Yeah. I just want to come in. Like, you can bin it. That's fine. Just, I don't care. Just come on, man. This is not even
Just
intentional.
hoarding people's haikus and then reading them later and being genuinely moved.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. The bouncers just sell you back the haikus, or they give the haikus to their friends inside who are then like, 10 quid, read you a haiku.
Being forced for the sort of indignity of being like, you got any poetry on you, mate?
Yeah.
When you're in there.
I've got some old English. Nah, fuck. Can't read it, mate.
Sounds mental.
Just standing, banging on the stall door because I can hear someone muttering Beowulf. And it's like, mate, you're going to be in there for 2 hours. Come on.
You better not be quinning in there.
Beowulf has got to be the fucking like shooting crocodile into your eyeball. The poetry night like that's like, well, that guy's serious.
Careful, mate. She just used the wrong cupbearer.
We don't care what you're doing in there as long as it's not old English. That's really dangerous. It could get the club shut down.
There's so many like. It's really irresponsible to be reading sort of even Chaucer, because like there are people who do get taken away in stretchers, and it's like that ruins the vibe.
Exactly.
And then
Norse.
You meet somebody you think is kind of cool, and they're like, "Yeah, I read a limerick once." We've all read a limerick,
we
mate.
get it.
Yeah, sorry. I've been to high school.
We made one up in year 4. Okay.
So wait, as far as I'm imagining here, obviously Old English poetry is GHB.
Sure, yeah.
Of course.
And then a limerick is a NOS canister.
That's spot on. Yeah, I was thinking either that or like the worst weed you've ever gotten in your life.
Oh yeah.
But I think you're right about the
because I just imagining
bath salts. Is that anything?
I'm imagining
very nice.
like a group of like 15-year-olds like sitting in the park in puffer jackets, just like reading limericks to one another and falling unconscious.
There's a man from Nantucket.
It's so funny that you pass that. Yeah, laughing gas, perfect.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, really good.
My friend, we went to watch The Devil's Backbone the other day in the Prince Charles Cinema.
Keir Starmer's not the devil then.
And you were enjoying laughing gas?
My friends, it was a spooky film if you haven't seen it. It's also subtitled in Spanish, well, in English, but it's a Spanish film.
The film's in English. It does have Spanish subtitles.
Yeah, exactly. And we're all feeling a bit delicate from the festive period. This is like on the 30th of December or whatever. And two of my friends were like, "Oh, we're going to take an edible before this." And I was like, "That sounds like the worst idea before a scary film." No, and then they both had a pint of wine as well.
Pint of wine,
a pint of wine, an edible, and a scary film. And they both just
Are they selling wine by the pint at the cinema?
At the Prince Charles, they got 2 of those mini bottles and then decanted.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, that just feels like a crazy thing they would do.
Yeah, I mean,
it sounds horrible.
But I honestly, for me, I was like, that is the worst combination of anything. Like, I don't want to be scared and high and drinking a pint of red wine.
How did they get on?
One of them, fairly okay. The other one was kind of in a different world by the end. I don't think he really followed what was going on in the film, but I feel like I would have been terrified. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think I would have been too into the film. You know?
Yeah. It's like there's like a part of that journey that will be scary, and then he went on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Locked in.
Yeah.
And it was just like, the film is shapes and colors now.
Hello, glue sniffers. Do not adjust your sets. It's a bit of mid-episode Milo because we forgot to promote the live show that we're doing in Leicester at Leicester Comedy Festival on Saturday, the 7th of February at, I believe, 6:40 p.m. It's going to be really great. So if you're in the East Midlands, please get a ticket to that. Tickets are really cheap. They're like £10. We're going to put a link in the description. And also, if you come, we have exclusive merch that you can only get at live shows, which are the Glue Factory hats, which you may have seen us wearing. You may have seen some guests wearing them, and the people who were at the most recent London live show got to buy them. So if you would like a Glue Factory hat, that is the only place you can get one, is at a Glue Factory live show. So if you're in the Leicester area and you're around on the 7th of February, please come down to that. Me, Olga and Riley are going to be there, and our guest is going to be the excellent Alistair Beckett King. If you're not familiar with him, check him out. He's a super funny guy. So I think that's going to be a really great show. Please come along to that and see you there. Enjoy the rest of the ep. Cheers.
When I was 23, I went and visited a mate of mine who was working in Amsterdam, and he's not really like a drugs guy, but we got a space cake and took like half each and went to the cinema, and we watched that movie Hell or High Water.
What's that?
This is dating it. It's like a heist movie from like 2016.
Okay.
It's actually really good. Recommend. Good movie.
Yeah.
Good kind of like heat coded, like semi smart bloke movie. And the premise is basically these guys, they've found oil on the land of their ranch in Texas, but the bank is about to repossess it before they can get any money from the oil. But obviously the land is now worth like millions and millions and millions.
Right, okay.
So they're like, we need to rob enough money from the bank to pay off the... And it's like they're going to rob all the branches of this same bank that's like foreclosing on their like farm or whatever. And they come up with this scheme to kind of do it and not get caught and like launder the money through a casino. But it's like kind of like tense.
Sounds great.
What's his name in it? The man who's the gruff man in every movie, Jeff
Bridges?
Jeff Bridges is in it. Yeah, it's one of those
it's
movies.
going to be good.
Yeah, he's like a Texas Ranger.
Yeah.
You know, it's that kind of shit. So it's like tense movie. And we're sat there and about 40 minutes in, I'm like, I think that space cake is kicking in. Like, I'm just going to look over and see how he's doing. And he's like leaning forward in his seat like this, like staring up at the screen. And I look round at him and he like clocks me, look at him. And he just turns to me and goes, this is a very entertaining film. I was like, yeah, he's locked in.
Yeah.
He's gone.
So that could have been you at the Devil's Backbone.
Yeah, apart from my friend who brings these lovely ones from LA, these nice weed gummies, and you just have a great laugh. Apart from that, every other experience I've had with an edible has been truly horrifying.
Always terrible.
Yeah. Truly losing control of all thought and being, and especially in Amsterdam. I kind of, this is probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I went and did a space cake and did that classic thing. But it took hours, and I was thinking, I don't feel anything. I'll just have a bit more.
Right. Yeah.
Then was in hell. And then I don't even. I'm not even.
You
a
were
big
experiencing the Devil's Backbone.
I really was. And my mate looked over to me, and we were in a bar with my other pal. They were having a lovely chat. They just like smoked it a bit, having a lovely chat. I was like, honestly, in hell. And I ate this entire cheese board.
Yes. I like that you were still recognisably yourself, even in this moment.
Yeah. Now's my chime.
And I was sort of doing it. It was kind of like I was on a mission. And my mate Nat just turned to me and she went, Al, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm sobering myself up. And she was like, oh no, it doesn't work like that. It's not like booze where it can soak it up. She was like, you're just going to have to ride this out. And I was like, why are you telling me this if I've just eaten a pound of cheese?
You've actually made yourself worse.
I've made myself so ill.
You're now going to have a sort of weed cheese nightmare.
I think the worst time ever was when I had a bit of a weed gummy and then an espresso martini. So it was like, am I chilled or am I wired? It's a horrible roller coaster to be on.
Push and pull.
Yeah. Not a good night in all time in my life.
Roger, have you ever whiteyed? Have you ever had a rough weed experience?
Not really. I'm not the biggest weedo. Or I'm not
a classic weedo.
Yeah, I'm not.
You're in good company here.
I'm not.
We can all say that we're not huge weed people.
No,
not
definitely
huge
not.
weed people. I do have a friend who will only ever have edibles when an Avatar movie comes out. So he's been gearing up for the new one. He's just like,
God, it was rough between 2010 and
yeah. I think it's because it goes back to that time when like that came out when we were in secondary school, and he's just like, I just have good memories, man. Going in there and it was such a great time. James Cameron, best movie maker ever. And he's like, it's back, and he's trying to relive those moments. So yeah, but as far as he's concerned, they're the best movies that have ever existed.
Because he's been high.
Yeah. And I think they're good movies. But you're talking to a man. It's almost like telling somebody that God is real, but you don't think God's that good. It's like that.
Right.
Yeah. They're okay. They're okay. But
so he must have been thrilled when they announced that. I mean, I imagine they're going indefinitely now, aren't they? Avatar.
Oh, forever, I'm sure.
Yeah. Because I thought it was like going to be a one-off, but now it's on the third one.
There's a new one that's just come out. Yeah.
I saw it yesterday.
And
they made a sexy one. They made a sexy Avatar.
Did they?
They did, yeah.
They
yeah.
knew that people wanted to fuck the blue.
Yeah.
yeah.
The pornification of Avatar is here.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I had this realization that like, oh, I guess I just fancy anything in winged eyeliner. That was just his thing. Because I've never found them. I've never found them hot. And then there's this evil one that has like eyeliner. I'm like, hang on, you know.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah, goth alien. Yeah, I'm in.
If you're trying to seduce Roger, you know what to do.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
do it at
yeah.
home.
The-
Winged eyeliner.
Yeah.
yeah, I left. It's the first time I've ever left a movie with my girlfriend, and she's been jealous of CGI, and she's just been like, "You were looking pretty hard at that." And hey, listen, it's a good movie. It's a good.
What
It's
an
a film.
argument
You
to
are
be having.
supposed to look at it. I've paid to look at it.
You just gotta like be like, nah, I'm having my once an Avatar weed gummy.
Yeah,
That's why I was
yeah.
so locked in.
It's just I'm just totally locked in. You know, I don't even fancy her. I'm just high.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
A good. That's a good.
It's not even like when you fancy a film star and you're like, babe, look, I would never meet her. You're like, babe, she's not even real.
Yeah. Now, in my girlfriend's defense, I have spent the last year learning how to use Blender and 3D modeling software. So I now could meet her if I wanted.
Yes.
Yeah. I could download a 3D model of her.
You could lock in.
Yeah, I could
Yeah.
put myself in there.
There are ads for that now. On like
Oh,
the
really?
on the tube
AI.
of like the AI companion. people.
Yeah.
There's more of that. It's only gotten worse. There's one at one of the stations I come from. So I change at Seven Sisters to come here. There's like an ad for like an app in your phone that lets you communicate with Anime Bridgerton.
Anime
What?
Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Listen, I've got to know
It's
about
like
this.
you can be you can be the Countess's diamond of the season.
Mm.
I believe is a reference to Bridgerton.
Oh God. What
Yeah.
about Anime Bridges?
This
It's just a guy
is-
being like, nothing ever changes in
Anime Jeff
Texas.
Bridges. Anime Jeff Bridges with winged eyeliner. I'm there. I'm
Pretty good.
You know,
I've developed a grudging respect for these bank robbers over time.
Pretty good.
I did see one of those adverts that said, "Oh, you've tried Bumble, you've tried Tinder. Why not try an
Why
AI?"
not try a fake thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why
it's
not
like-
give up?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll give up.
Hey, would you
Yeah.
like to never have real sex again?
Yeah,
No.
sure.
Try one of these.
Yeah, that's the end point of both scenarios, anyway. So
yeah. That is true. God,
Yeah.
an AI. No, we're in. Have you seen that film Her with what's his face?
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Joaquin
yeah.
Phoenix.
Yes, what
Yeah.
yeah. I've never actually watched it, but I feel like I've been bombarded with memes from it so much that I
Yeah.
have a working knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
I
It was one of the
rewatched
most
it.
depressing things I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah, I rewatched it recently because I wanted to know, like, you know, it's the type of movie that people said at the time, "Oh, this will be so prescient."
Yes, yeah,
and then
yeah.
you rewatch it, and the biggest like thing they get wrong is, yeah, fair enough. Somebody wanting to fuck an AI, that's fine. Like, we all could have guessed that.
yeah.
Hmm.
But the thing that they get wrong is that everyone's paying this guy, Joaquin Phoenix, to make handwritten love letters and stuff. That's like his job.
Oh yeah.
And the whole thing is, it's like, oh, you know, we've become so detached and we use computers for everything that you pay a premium to get somebody to write something that actually expresses your love. Nobody's fucking doing it.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
but now in
yeah.
hindsight, that's the most unrealistic thing ever, you know?
Yeah.
He's
We're just
basically
pigs with our head in the trough.
yeah. And long may it continue, you know?
And scene.
Get ready with me to visit my boyfriend in prison. Yeah, why not?
yeah, I will.
Fuck it.
Yes.
Roll the dice. Yeah. She's putting winged eyeliner on. Hello.
I'm here. Yeah. Saved.
One to get to jail, please.
Yes.
Just painting herself blue. Today he made me a special request.
Mm.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought that's like, have you ever watched that documentary about the woman who had that thing where you could test your blood and it was a complete farce?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Theranos, yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
And that was
I'm
basically
locked
That
into-
perked you right
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
locked
Great
into
to see.
Theranos.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I watched it honestly.
I will
Like,
leave it at that.
yeah. We'll test your blood live on air right now. No. And basically she, you know, it was like basically you could put a blood sample in it and the machine does it all for you. Actually, they were just having to employ more and more people to actually do the blood testing. So it was just the same as anything else. Have you watched it?
Oh, I was aware of the like general
The fraud and the
scammery,
scam, yeah,
but I
yeah.
didn't know that that's what they were doing.
They were just like
Mhm.
frantically, a bit like the love letters. Like
Yeah.
there was just more and more people like manually doing the things and then putting them back in, basically into
Weren't
the,
they doing that in
into the
like?
machine.
Didn't they do that in like Amazon Fresh? Those stores
Yeah,
that
yeah,
were
they
meant to
was-
be AI.
It
Yes.
was employing just like people in like India and the Philippines.
Yeah.
You know, that's basically the plot of the book. If anything, like the God, what fucking pieces of fiction are predicting what? But there's a book, Snow Crash. It's basically more or less about that, of like work getting kind of increasingly outsourced, but that's done teleoperated.
So
it's like mega gig economy.
Yeah.
Like that's a really good book. And
It
then
is.
I read that the guy was libertarian, and I went back to read it again, and I noticed one of the characters is like 14. and he keeps talking about how sexy she is, and I'm like, that tracks.
Why?
It's quite funny, the idea of a libertarian guy who has like an ideological commitment to age of consent stuff, even though he's not himself a paedophile.
Yes.
Like sort of like communists who will just defend Stalin for like no reason because they're like, like, well, actually, no, I'm not that way inclined.
Listen, I would never be a dictator like that. But I respect him.
But I
in a way.
respect
I
him.
respect
Great moustache.
Yeah.
But
Weren't there like loads of French intellectuals that wrote a letter opposing the age of consent at some point as well? In
French,
France?
did you say?
Yeah.
I feel like that's been continuously happening in
That's
France.
every few years there.
Since they instituted the age of consent.
Yeah. But I think, like you said about like, I think that there are quotes from people like Foucault and stuff where they're like, well, of course I'm not a paedophile, but I think it should be fine to be one. And it's like, that's worse. That's worse.
You haven't got the compulsion, but you're empathizing with a pedo.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not a paedophile, but I think it should be fine to be one. I think it raises a lot of questions about the first half of the sentence.
Yeah. I think Foucault should have been in the BBC. Get him over.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Everything's a prison. The age of consent.
Yeah.
There are other things. Yeah.
Did you see the thing? I think it was a headline last year actually that French spies are sort of better at their job. I know we're talking about spies a lot today. Are better at their job because they can't be bribed because all their wives know they're having affairs, and it was like a proper study.
Oh, that's good.
The wives are just like, yes, and what?
Yeah. So?
I am also having an
I am
affair.
also having multiple affairs.
I would hope that he is having one.
It shows he's not gay.
He might learn something, bring it back. It's good.
If she is 14, well, the age of consent should not exist.
I'm not a paedophile myself.
But if he wants to be one, I will let him. Huh?
Surveying what people in France think the age of consent is and getting a fascinating list of...
I've never thought to look it up. What is this?
Which is funny because if in this accent you say, I've never looked up what the age of consent is, it sounds like because it doesn't concern me. Because I'm far enough above what it could possibly be. Whereas when you say it in a French accent, it's like, because I don't give a fuck.
It sounds like you're saying it to a judge as a kind of
and the judge is also smoking and goes, fair enough.
To be honest, I don't know either.
I looked it up this morning.
It's funny. Every time I do a French accent, I just sound Quebecois. I can't sound, which is a different kind of thing. We also are not concerned with this in Sept-Île. In Rivière-au-Tonnerre.
The French judge just opening some kind of law book on a dusty page. Age of consent.
I've been to Rivière-au-Tonnerre in Quebec. It's a town of like 6 people.
Riviera.
Why are you there?
That feels quite like Spanish or Portuguese.
Rivière-au-Tonnerre, it means Thunder River.
Wow.
So when I was 11.
Oh, is it Rivière? Oh, like AU.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like Riviero, one word.
Oh, no, Riviero.
Who's this like one Brazilian guy?
In the Quebecois Riviera.
Yeah. Quebecois Brazilian. Huge ass covered in gravy.
I went on a family journey, sort of an unpleasant memory in some ways.
No.
Not because anything went wrong, but just because it was pretty uncomfortable and we didn't stay anywhere nice. Where the entire extended version of my father's family, I think everyone who went on that trip is dead now except for my parents and me.
Oh wow.
They're much older.
Okay.
No, they
It's
died.
not like a horror film.
No,
We didn't. It was
we
a
didn't-
slasher fic.
We didn't have the Narasquan Chainsaw Massacre.
Le dos du Satan.
So we went, we all met up. So like my uncle from British Columbia, my other uncle who lives in Quebec. My father's Anglo-Quebecois, like my whole father's family's Anglo-Quebecois. And we met up at Quebec City there. And then we piled into a gigantic van and then drove up the north shore of the St. Lawrence River, which gets really remote and shitty really quickly. It's like Quebec City, fine. Tadoussac, fine. Tadoussac is really nice. Like a sort of vacation town on the river. It has like a lovely hotel in it. And then Baie-Comeau, pretty nice as well.
Sounds it.
Which is where my dad's
official
family's from.
Quebec tourism.
Yeah.
review.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baie-Comeau is okay.
How much are you being paid for this?
But after
Visit
that, it gets really, really crappy.
Bears?
No, more like just sort
There's
of
not much of a gay culture up there.
more like just sort of sprawling small cities.
Mhm.
And it's like I think my uncle Gary, God rest him, again old age,
Old.
not
Yeah.
massacre.
Yeah.
Quebecois
Yeah.
Uncle Gary.
Yeah.
What a concept.
Yeah. He had this very romantic idea of like, oh, we're gonna revisit where we used to live as boys, and I'm gonna show you and all your families the North Shore of the St. Lawrence.
Wow.
But very quickly it becomes like, oh, this is like just endless like tree growing operations, and like sort of kind of shitty farms, and like in Quebec, the north of Quebec is equivalent to the American South, where everyone's it gets real hicky. And like a guy
French Appalachia.
it's literally Appalachia. It's the same mountain range.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
it literally is Appalachia.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you were accidentally
It's
fully
like New
correct.
Zealand
Yeah.
and Scotland being the same. They're on
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
opposite
Yeah,
sides
exactly.
of the
Yeah.
North
Yeah.
American equator.
Yeah,
I-
it's the same. You know, the like Munro, like the sort of the mountains in Scotland. Those are the same mountain range because they're so old. They've been sort of eroded down into like nubs, basically. They used to be as high as the Himalayas,
Oh, really?
but they've gotten they're the oldest mountain range, and they've just gotten
Why?
handed down.
yeah
By time.
wind.
Mm.
You have made me realize
Yeah,
something.
wind.
Canada.
Oh yeah, we were threatened by a guy with a gun when we parked in the side of his. That was what I was getting to. We were threatened by a guy with a shotgun who was like running out at us with a dog when we parked in the side of his land to like look at a map.
Oh.
Yeah,
He's
Proper
just like,
hick.
get the fuck off. Like,
yeah. He was he was like, I guess it could be like you see a big white van park for a little bit on the side of your farm, and you've never seen anyone else before ever.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
and you've never seen a van.
Yeah. We're like,
what is this moving machine?
what is this chariot?
There is no
You've seen
horse.
You've seen a chariot.
Yeah.
In this case, you've
Yes.
seen a chariot.
he's lived.
Weirdly, when the Quebecois poets were telling the stories of the Great War, they didn't really understand how chariots were used. They just thought they were used to take individual heroes up to their assigned single combat. It's a joke about the Iliad for you.
He
Yeah, great stuff.
They did not.
I
Homer.
didn't get it.
did not.
Not expressing a lot of xenia, the ancient Greek concept of guest friendship. This one Quebecois guy.
Yeah. Well, he was more of a. I guess this was a bit more of an Odysseus Cyclops thing.
Yeah.
So this is in the ancient world, chariots were used for war as like mounted warfare. You
Yeah.
could shoot arrows from the back
Yeah,
of them and
yeah,
stuff, or like a form of the closest thing you would have had to a tank because the horses weren't quite big enough to ride.
It's incredibly
Back
camp,
then.
isn't it? I love it.
Horses weren't big enough to ride.
Yeah, that's like in ancient Egypt, they used horse-drawn chariots a lot, but the horses weren't big enough to ride generally because a lot of those horses like got bred to be bigger later.
They weren't on protein.
So like
Yeah.
the ancient
They were eroded by time as well.
like a lot of the
The first horse that was big enough to ride, he must have said to everyone else, "Do not fucking tell them.
yeah.
Do not tell them. They can just sit on my back, okay?"
He's watching his growth chart like, no,
Yeah.
stay here.
Yeah,
Ah,
every time the
bollocks.
human comes over, he just crouches down a bit. He goes, "Oh,
Yeah, he's just slouching.
patchy part Shetland."
but in the Odyssey, in the Iliad, whenever they mention chariots, they're mentioned as like, oh, and Achilles is being conveyed by his chariot into battle, where he then dismounts and then does single combat.
Oh.
Because that's just how they imagined it.
Like a sort of boxing entrance.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
bet.
yeah.
Yeah, he's holding up his belt.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
It's playing Simply the Best for some reason.
Swanning in a golden chariot and then dismounting.
Turning up
very-
at Troy in a satin dressing
I mean,
gown.
again,
Oh.
you'd
Stunning.
say it's very camp, but it was like
Yeah,
they were all
yeah.
fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
That's like a huge
Yeah.
part of it.
That's why they were also sort of, their blood was up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but being gay was being straight then.
Yeah.
Culturally.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
That's true.
exactly.
Do you know, I was having a conversation with a friend recently about because in Ireland, at least when I was in primary school, we all had these really old history books. It's like modernized now and stuff like that. But everyone of a certain generation has this exact same like way of being taught ancient history, where they talked about Athens and Sparta, and they're basically like, Sparta, these lads were great fighters, fucking unreal, top warriors, and then they go, Athens, bit gay. That's like generally what our teacher was like. He goes,
But that's
yeah,
also so wrong.
Oh
And
yeah,
also,
no,
the truth, they were all gay.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Also, it's like the whole sort of story of Sparta as being particularly militarily excellent is a total like fabrication.
It's made up by Zack Snyder.
Like a huge amount of the fighting the Spartans actually did was just like randomly slaughtering unarmed civilians. Well, civilian, there wasn't really much of a distinction back then, but just randomly slaughtering an unarmed semi-slave population just to keep them terrified.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
That's a huge amount of the fighting they actually did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how have they got such good PR? Why are they seen as, the big dogs?
I think I we're getting beyond my knowledge here,
I
but
think a lot of it's Thermopylae.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is also, isn't it Roman remembering of what they would have been like?
So I think you're right. I think that the real truth of how they get so simplified is because they were often used in like metaphors and similes. So like they would be used as these kind of metaphorical examples that don't really match
Right.
like what they really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then topless as well. That gives it an edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'd just be a bit like, this is what they were like, and this is what.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we got to be more like this crowd and less like this.
Yeah.
Except like no one would have been ripped then either.
Yeah.
Being ripped is quite like a modern invention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think every time I see a movie from the 1940s, I'm like, God, I wish I was in the 1940s. I would have been the hottest person who ever lived in the 1940s.
There was some rough and smooth with the 1940s.
There were bad things.
They're shirtless guys.
Yeah, you were like, oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, the hottest guy who ever lived like still didn't have visible abs.
Yeah. And if you had a single ab, you would be carted off in a freak show in like a circus.
Exactly.
And they'd be like, it's a strong man. Look at him. He's such a weirdo.
He's got his
see
top
the
2
one-abs
abs
man.
defined.
He's crazy.
Yeah. He's got the 2 easiest ones to get.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
I've been stuck in the top 2 for so long.
Top 2 abs.
Yeah, top 2 abs.
Well, you'd love the 1950s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because also your belt is just under your top 2 abs
Yeah.
in the 50s.
Yeah,
so
you
no
only
one
need the
knows.
top 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can be a fat, below that.
My problem is that I just love eating. I'm one of the world's great eaters.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
I
love the gym, but I love eating.
I only run so I can eat biscuits.
Mm.
That's like just my whole.
It's
Nice.
your trading.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
you sort of know how many calories you burn and you're like, that's 1 biscuit.
Yeah.
The problem is like, you're running for 30 minutes and you're like, okay, how many up 2.5.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. That's 30 minutes of like sort of sustained work, followed by being tired, followed by a shower.
Yeah.
The whole thing takes like an hour, and then you're like,
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
You do
That's
also
it.
eat prodigiously quickly.
I hate that I eat so quickly. It
Do
really
you?
sucks. I hate it, but I don't know why. I'm trying to slow
Did
down.
you grow up in a big family?
I'm only child.
Oh.
But I was constantly starving when I was young. I was so hungry all the
It
time.
was like
the
Tiny
Canadian
Tim.
family.
I could
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. there were no cheese curds.
I think the problem was my parents were too. You know the food pyramid, right?
Yeah.
That was just sponsored by the grain industry. It's like you should eat so much grain.
Yeah.
They were like, meats, proteins, cheeses, a few. But grain, yes. Fruits and vegetables, yes. Protein food, yeah, some. And sweets, not at all.
You've got to eat so much rock and then a tiny bit of pharaoh.
Yeah.
It's a really horrible meal.
Yeah.
But it
There's
does
not even
you
any
good.
brains left in this thing.
Yeah. There's some preserved honey that's still good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
If you
pretty
get there
fun.
quick enough.
No, the honey's still completely fine. That
What?
pharaohs were buried with. You can still spread it on toast and eat it, and it's fine.
No.
Yeah. Honey does not go off ever.
Guy in a pith helmet in the 1920s being like, Christ, this is delicious on
Yeah,
toast.
this is good, honey.
Yeah.
Shame that
Seriously.
it's cursed.
It's
It just
completely
that's the thing.
it's completely sterile. It's completely antiseptic. You can eat honey now. That was from like 4000 BC.
Doesn't
That's
it,
a
doesn't
show
it
I
all
would
like
watch.
separate and go? Because the honey that's been in my cupboard for 6 months like turns into sugar and goo.
That's
Yeah.
because they put shit in it.
Ah.
This is-
They're putting the opposite of a preservative
Yeah,
in.
yeah. They're
Yeah.
like,
Planned
this needs to go off.
obsolescence.
Yeah.
This is the plan of Big Honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is it, lads. The bees, don't trust them, okay?
Yes.
The bees are in on it.
Yeah.
Mm. But there used to be proper bees in ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
They make honey, it lasts 4,000 years.
True.
Now you buy honey, it's not built to last.
Yeah, I don't know.
We
they're
live in a
born.
throwaway culture.
The problem is the temuification of honey.
Yeah,
Mm.
Fast
used
honey.
to-
Bee moo.
They used to eat
There you go.
like
that was very
Thank
good.
you.
mummies in the 1800s.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was
What?
considered to be a potent aphrodisiac, I
They
believe.
used to eat what?
They'd eat mummies that had been discovered.
Yeah.
So,
Really?
yeah. So the irony of they're
I've
breaking
eaten a few
open.
mummies, let me tell you.
Have you?
Even I regret
with
that
winged
one.
eyeliner.
We could just take that out.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it needs to come
No,
out.
keep
but-
it in.
Yeah, go on.
No, I respect
it's
the
not that
mums.
controversial.
Yeah,
Real double
you're an
entendre.
equal opportunity shagger.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But yeah, so the irony of them cracking open these pyramids and they're like a little pot of honey they could eat. And they're like, no, let's crack open this jerky man.
This dead guy.
yeah, let's eat a little bit of him.
And did they? It didn't poison them or anything.
No, I don't think so.
Mm.
I remember being obsessed
Pharaoh
with.
is still good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
even
beautiful.
to this day.
It's like jerky.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a delicacy.
Mm.
I remember, it's obviously everyone knows that you don't get taught any important history at school. You get the Tudors and ancient Egypt, basically.
And Hitler.
And Hitler.
And in Ireland, that Athens is gay.
And the Athens is
That's-
gay.
yeah.
Exactly. But I just
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
being obsessed with your teachers at 7 years old telling you that essentially the tomb of Tutankhamun was cursed and everyone died. And you're supposed to just go to
Oh.
sleep and be like, well, that seems fine. Like,
Yeah.
it's the
I mean,
scariest.
that happens.
Everyone,
You're
yeah.
you're unlikely to ever go to the tomb of Tutankhamun. I don't
I
think
know,
you're
but
allowed.
Riley, it opens your mind to the
Yeah.
thing of curses.
You might get cursed.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a problem.
And also,
This is the
why
beginning
did
of
they all
British.
die?
Yeah, why?
Mm.
Well, I
You
mean,
know
it
what
was
I mean?
quite a while ago.
Yeah, but they all
Spanish
died within
flu.
like. No, it probably was that, wasn't it?
This was the beginning of British bad luck in Egypt, but culminated with Suez.
Yeah. My God. No, they broke into the into the pyramid, ate the dead man, and they all died within years.
It's
Now
a
you say
mystery.
it like that.
The honey was totally
He's
fine.
cursed.
Yeah.
It wasn't caused by the honey. I want that on record.
It's like Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade. It's like what do I consume in this ancient grave? And there's actually is one thing that is fine.
Yeah. Don't have that. It's sticky. No.
Do you know, I always think of the last scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, where it gets taken into the big,
Last Crusade.
the-
Yeah, it is right.
the Ark. Is it the Ark?
Yeah.
Gets
Yeah,
taken
yeah,
into the warehouse, and there's
Yeah.
thousands of them.
Yeah.
I always think of that analogy when I went to this party of this like incredibly chic guy that my friend was his personal trainer, and he was like, "Oh, I'm having a party at my penthouse in Shoreditch." This is like 6-7 years ago.
Mhm.
For my birthday, and he was like the most gorgeous man you've ever seen in your life. And all his him and all his friends were like these incredibly glamorous chic gay guys in this like fabulous apartment. And we were like, oh, it's his birthday, so I tell you what, we should bring a bottle of Moët because that'll be like, these guys are really, really, upmarket, all this sort of stuff, instead of like Sainsbury's Prosecco or whatever. And we all like clubbed together, bought this bottle of Moët for like 50-60 quid or whatever. And we got there. And we were like, hi, mate, happy birthday. We've got you some Moët. And he went, oh, thank you so much. I'll just put it with the others. And there was a giant table with about 200 bottles of Moët.
Everyone had the same
Everyone had the same-
idea.
And he just put it there. And it was like the scene in the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I was just like, ours, we can't even recognise ours now. It's just...
Oh, someone's already got me some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm.
just
No,
put it with the others. Oh.
Here's some potato salad, maybe.
That's his equivalent of the Lynx Africa gift set. at Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I watched a man Vogue that night, and it was one of the defining moments of my life.
For a second, I thought you meant the cigarette.
No.
And I'm like, oh, no, the dance.
No, he was
Mhm.
incredible. It was upside down on a couch. It was just I've never
Upside
seen
down
anything
on the
like
couch.
it.
That's
They-
unconventional. That's goofy stance.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
really, one of the best performances I've ever seen by none.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
enough.
thank you.
I'm fascinated by those genres of things that you only ever get as gifts.
What do you mean?
Well, I like the Lynx
Oh,
Africa
yes,
box.
yeah, you
Gift
never
sets.
buy it. Yeah,
No
yeah,
one's
yeah.
ever being like, I need deodorant and a shower gel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to
smells of
smell the same.
desperation.
Yeah. I want every way I wash myself to smell the same.
Yeah.
You know? I just-
Yeah. Like at Christmas, I got bought something. I'm an old man now. I didn't receive many gifts. One of the things I got was a thing that like clips on to like the air vents in your car, and it holds like McDonald's chips, which is regrettable as to people's view of me.
Yeah.
And it has like little things you can put the sauces
Somebody
on.
saw that and thought,
Yeah.
Milo Edwards.
And I'm like, well, one, no one would ever buy that for themselves. I refuse to believe that anyone has ever bought that not as a gift.
Yeah, agreed.
Fascinating, like lacuna in like that. Like, there's this thing that just gets passed around as like, well, obviously you'll never use this.
Yeah, of course.
But you know, I've bought it for you and now you can't say that I've not bought you anything.
Yeah.
And like, also, I just never eat McDonald's in my car. For someone who eats McDonald's as much as I do, I like my car too much.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm eating
You take
McDonald's
pride
in
in it.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then getting back in the
Yeah.
car. Because it's a less satisfying way to eat McDonald's and to drive the
And
car.
you like to reserve a table, don't you, in McDonald's before you go? Just
you put in the
Did you
little
do
napkin
that?
up the top and you go, the usual, please.
Do you know, once
car gleaming in the background.
by accident, I was super hungover and we were driving back from Southend to London and we went to a McDonald's on the A127 somewhere and we walked in there and then we ordered our food and they were like, oh, don't worry, we'll just bring it over to the table. But we hadn't requested table service. They were like, oh, we'll just bring it over. And I was
Wow.
like, okay.
Is that because
so
you'd ordered something quite off menu? Like not off menu, but you know what I mean?
Don't bring
Poppadoms or bread.
fries or halloumi sticks.
Mozzarella dippers, interesting choice. You're showing a lot of confidence in that 17-year-old
Oh
on
my
the
God,
grill.
that is good.
I like what you've got to say for yourself.
Milo, you have a few killer impressions.
Yeah, you do.
you bring them out.
The
every now and
spicy nuggets, eh? We've got a renegade.
If Keir Starmer ever goes on off menu, you'll be.
then. It's all cute.
Or if Donald Trump ever goes on, to be fair.
Or Jeremy Vine.
McDonald's. That would be the
To be fair, he would.
Yeah,
he
would.
would.
He
That's
is
all
fond
he
of
eats,
it.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fond of it.
We're having a Big Mac. It's the greatest burger possibly ever.
Yeah.
It's the best thing you can eat in the whole world.
And then what would James Acaster say in response?
Fair enough, Donald. It's a classic. We can't go too far here. We're playing it down the middle. I like what you've got to say. Have you considered the Japanese garlic nuggets? How do you feel about those? They're non-traditional. Sure.
And how would Jeremy Vine comment on that one?
Oh,
No,
What an episode of Off Menu this is. Jeremy
I've only
Vine
ever
and
been to
Donald
McDonald's
Trump.
once. It was in Crewe.
They wouldn't let me cycle through the drive-thru.
I was stuck at a train station. Someone said we could get a McDonald's, and I said, "Okay, sure, cultural experience." And I had the fruit bag. I'm sad to say, I was told that wasn't the thing to order, but I'd never been.
Did you go on Jeremy Vine last year?
Last year, yeah.
Is that 'cause he saw
in
your impression?
January.
Oh.
No, because for years I used to tweet about his Radio 2 show, like basically during lockdown, like every day.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, right, here's what Jeremy Vine's on about today.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then it would get signal boosted so much by my following who are like atting Jeremy Vine into
Right,
the
yeah,
replies.
yeah.
And then eventually he started replying to the tweet like every day. And then it got to a point where people were replying to him being like, Jeremy, go on the podcast. And then he was like, all right then.
Did he come on here?
Yeah, he's been on this. Yeah.
On this.
Oh, I did. I
But,
saw
like,
you on him.
ages
but-
ago. Yeah, and then that ended up with me going on the Jeremy Vine on 5 TV show. They're a bit more strict with the Radio 2 show, but
Yeah.
Channel 5, I mean,
Oh,
I was probably the most plausible person on that show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from Jeremy, of course.
Wasn't there a
greatest living
quite sort of
broadcaster.
mad lady?
Yeah, Carol Malone from the Daily Express.
Yeah.
Oh,
What are her
God,
thoughts?
she's evil.
Oh, she's got some thoughts.
Oh,
They're not what I would call consistent
Are
or
they-
thought through.
Yeah.
But
are they the sort of thoughts that if you said them out loud, they would sound libelous, but they are her thoughts? Is it
yeah,
like-
yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be like, well, surely she won't admit to thinking this,
Yeah.
but she
Yeah.
will. On
She will.
television.
Yeah. I'd never interacted with the Daily Express until I moved here. And it
sorry.
reads like fan fiction of this country. Like
Yes.
it's like
That's
somebody,
a great way to think
somebody's
about
Yeah.
just
it.
making up stuff about what's happened in the last week, and it's just like, this is not reality.
Yeah, yeah.
I've lived here. This isn't what's happening. But yeah,
Keir Starmer and West Street had a little kiss.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he said, notice me, senpai, and then he went up and had the best speech of his life. That didn't happen.
No. And how they're managing to still put Diana on the cover once a week. It's actually quite
God, they do
impressive
love
at
Diana.
this
Yeah.
stage. You know?
Isn't there that famous like corrections? There's like that famous.
I was literally thinking of the same thing.
Yeah, where it's like it says something like, "Oh, we're sorry for people that had the early version of." Correct me if I'm wrong in this, Milo, but it's something like people who got the early version of the paper. We've changed the title, the headline story from "Sex Mad Diana Disgraces the Royals" to "We Love Our Queen of Hearts" or something.
With a 72-page pullout.
Yeah.
Ironically, pulling out was also mentioned in the first.
Yeah, a great amount.
Yeah.
Yeah. The pages stuck together of
Yeah.
that particular pull out.
Also reminds me of when OK Magazine put out, and I'm going to laugh, but this isn't funny, put out the Jade Goody memorial issue whilst she was still alive.
Oh, wow.
It was on shelves before she had died.
Rumours of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
Yeah. They've been slightly exaggerated.
Yeah. That's happened with other things as well. There are like obituaries that have gone out when someone hasn't actually died. There was one recently, but I can't remember who it was. That's a really shit story.
Wait,
Sorry,
fun.
but like that is
No, but
part
I
of
do-
a grand tradition.
I
of-
do love it when, even in this day and age, sometimes there's rumours that go on for a few days where people are rumoured to be dead. Do you know what I mean? In the age where you can access information instantly,
Yeah.
I like a good, did they die? And it's like, no, they have to come out after a few days. No, I'm not dead.
No, I'm alive.
I was
Yeah.
convinced that Lionel Richie was dead for like a year.
Really? Because
and
you'd made it up?
It came
or-
up in a pub quiz because it's like the answer was like Lionel Richie. And I was like, but isn't he dead? Somehow the way the question was phrased would imply that the person was alive. I
Right,
can't
yeah,
remember.
yeah.
Something like that. And then they were like, no, why do you think Lionel Richie's dead? And I'm like, I swear down, like Radio 2 did a whole like Lionel Richie in memoriam day. And I remember listening to it.
This is your
You're there
Mandela
with a-
effect.
You're there with a lighter in the kitchen. like-
Milo's like, didn't he die in a South African prison?
And then it turned out that it was like a Lionel Richie's 75th birthday. And I'm like, that's so irresponsible because I'm going to assume he's died.
Yeah.
If you're playing Lionel Richie all day, there's
All
no
day.
other good reason to do that.
He's just had a birthday.
Sure, easy like Sunday morning. Yeah, great tune.
Lovely.
Maybe dancing on the ceiling. We can't fill a whole day with Richie.
No.
God, no.
I can't
No.
even name another one.
Uh,
Anything else?
Yeah, hello?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
Embarrassingly, I probably could name quite a few. That's the sort of, we're in my sort of dad wheelhouse here. Having listened to a whole day of Radio 2, having thought the man had died, I was trying to pay the man a bit of respect.
I don't think I've ever met somebody with access to the internet that listens to Radio 2. So this is very interesting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I've gone deep.
You've gone full Radio
You've
2.
gone for it. You
Well, I
took the
can't
plunge.
listen to Radio 1. It's for children.
Yeah, it is.
But it's also like, it has like the worst banter in the world. It's like all the people who are DJs on there are like my age or older.
Yeah.
But they're going like, all right, today I phone in with like the most mental excuse you've ever given for not going into work. And then so I was like, oh, Gary says, I texted and said I was hungover once. Oh, that's hilarious, Gary. And you're like, none of this is hilarious or even
Yeah.
slightly entertaining.
Yeah. I don't think I've listened to Radio 1 for like 15 years, if that.
Mhm.
And then so when I hear it now, like if you do hear, like you say, the odd 2 minutes of it, you're like, what is this?
Sure.
And every song I'm like, I'm 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Occasionally I'll get a bit of late night Radio 1 because Radio 2 goes weird at night.
Yeah.
And then you get the introducing this band, they're one of the hottest things to come out of Stoke-on-Trent.
Wait,
the last
Jeremy
10
Vine's
years.
announcing Radio 1?
No, they also kind of talk like that, but it's a slightly more young guy type of voice. Honestly, these guys, they're the next big thing. I've been banging these guys all year.
Have
This is a huge...
Have you?
They
I've
do
been
say
sleeping
stuff
with
like
3
that.
of them.
Ironic.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
And now
Yeah.
you sound like, then you when you tried to do younger Jeremy Vine, you just sounded like Tim Westwood. I guess that's sort of a continuous Tim Westwood ages into Jeremy Vine.
Westwood's actually older than Jeremy Vine. That's what a lot of people don't know.
He's like 65.
Yeah.
Tim Westwood. And white. Who knew?
Yeah, and so what? And the son of a bishop.
Is he?
Really?
He's the son of the Bishop of Peterborough, I think.
That sounds like the start of a limerick.
It's me,
Yeah.
the big dog. You got to be really hoarse to get a Westwood. I mean, speaking of the age of consent.
Me and Foucault. We're Foucault on the text.
We heard that you're not a paedophile, but you do support it ideologically.
Out there on the dance floor, we have cameras everywhere.
Yeah. Tim Westwood for Reason magazine.
So we've given you a van.
Blue Factory!